Neighborhood Association. I welcome everybody here. If there are dignitaries in the room, I didn't catch you, so I apologize. Anybody want to decide they're a dignitary and stand up and say hi? Okay. Could I have the candidates come on up? Please, Kevin, we have chairs for you here, so please join us. I have seats up here in the front for everybody else. So please, there is no specific order, so please make yourselves at home. Tonight is the first of 3 forums that we're going to have. Next Thursday is District 4, and that's September 26th. Wednesday, October 9th is the Mayor's Forum. That'll be at Griffin Center. District 4 will be at Celestine Center. This came about because a group of us decided we thought a forum would be a great opportunity for us to get to hear from these wonderful candidates as to where they stood on certain positions. And instead of having multiple forums, we decided it would make sense to come together. So that is 8 homeowners associations, and I think was it 3 chambers? 4 chambers that decided this would be a great idea. The planning committee was myself, Robin Tisdale from also Keystone, from Messina, Amanda Lowry from North Miami Chamber, Dave Burney and Michael McDermott, thank you, our cell phone, from Urban Paradise Guild, Sam Van and Jackie Bonisha, and from Sunkissed Homeowners, Judy Brown. So thank you to the Planning Commission. I'm very excited that we have been able to organize everybody coming here. Thank you to the chambers for refreshment. So tonight is normally a Keystone Point Neighborhood Association meeting, 3rd Thursday of the month. I invite Keystone residents to come join us. You will always find representatives from the police department here to answer our questions, representatives from NSD, Neighborhood Services Division, and usually Councilman Galvin or somebody from his office. And I say that usually because we're hoping that that tradition will be carried on by whomever is elected to our district. We will be celebrating Scott. I'm surprised we're not seeing him here tonight, but we will be celebrating Scott next week. So
2 weeks, September 29th.
September 29th. That is an invitation, a reservation invitation.
On Eventbrite.
On Eventbrite. So if anybody's interested in knowing about that, please let us know. So tonight we have Kevin Burns, Vanessa Pierre, Evan Shields, and Jessica Wolland. They will be answering questions that were submitted prior. We won't be taking questions from the floor. And then just a quick little note. So this is an unusual year for an election. Normally in North Miami, our job as a homeowners association is to get people to know there is an election. I don't think we have that problem this year. I'm a blessing. Normally in our May elections, we get 12% turnout from a neighborhood like Keystone. 12% of registered voters. That's painful, you guys. Our best year was 25%. So my concern is a lot of people are going to go vote because of that president thing. And they're going to get to the end of the ballot, but, oh wow, North Miami's having an election? Didn't know that. So y'all have 5 fingers. I'm going to ask you to make a pledge on those 5 fingers for me. 5 neighbors, okay? Left, right, across the street, go to their doors. Say, hey, you know there's an election coming up. On Keystone Point's website, we will have some election information where people can go. You got children away at school. Do they have children away at school? They vote. Sure. Let them know. The reason is because afterwards, you guys, there are these statistics, and it shows what neighborhoods voted. So does it really matter if I, as a council person, pay attention to this neighborhood? They don't vote. They don't know who you voted for, per se, but they know if you voted or not. So I'm really hoping that everybody will plan on voting not once, but more than likely twice. Because more than likely, between District 1 and the mayor, we're going to have a runoff. So it's a commitment that I'm asking everybody in this room, 5 fingers, 5 neighbors, plus your kids, and vote twice. So on that note, I have the privilege of introducing our moderator for the night. Those of us who lived in North Miami for a while are going to recognize Howard Kramer. He was our North Miami Council member from 1989 to 1996. Then he became mayor twice. I don't even think they paid back in those days.
$1.
$1. $1. Do you think we'd have anybody here if they were only getting paid $1? Howard has owned multiple businesses. He's now a financial advisor with Morgan Stanley, and he's the moderator for this evening, so I welcome you, Howard.
Thank you. Thank you. That's just, her introduction just means is a way of saying I'm old. Been around a long time. 84, I moved to the east side of North Miami. Wow. Scary. These help by the way. So it's interesting. The forums used to be much more informal, and the group here at Keystone has done a really good job of putting together very buttoned-up questions, as opposed to my usual answering. What do you think? So what do you? That's basically it. Is North Miami great? Yes, it is. You too. Great. Done. Now we have some sophisticated questions, so I am gonna read a little bit here, as opposed to ad lib. Save you guys a little bit of tried humor. This is an interesting race, and you guys know that Scott Galvin has been on the council for a long time, and it's someone to replace that, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and someone here will, with your votes. And I can't emphasize enough what Karen said. I mean, 12%, come on. So knock on your neighbor's door, knock on your friends and relatives and tell them to vote. Doesn't matter for who, doesn't matter for the presidential race. We care about the city. So everybody should vote. I'd love to see 100%. We'll never be 100%. How about 50%? That would be pretty good, right? So, anyways, Karen mentioned this, and I'll just reemphasize it a little bit. This is a coalition, very different than we used to do it. A coalition of North Miami Homeowners Association, Chambers of Commerce, and the Urban Paradise Guild are hosting tonight's candidate forum ahead of the November 5th. We're all writing it down. Election, although this year we know it's not in May. You're right. What is a candidates forum? So a candidates forum allows candidates seeking public office to express their views openly, so community members can understand their positions and make informed voting choices in local elections. So it's not a debate, This is just, everybody has their own ideas, and from my vantage point, all are good, just people are different, and that's a good thing. The opening statements, this is a 2-minute, I'm going to call this a 2-minute forum because everything is 2 minutes. Make it easy on you guys, everything is 2 minutes. At the end, we may have 1-minute questions if we have time, but opening statements, 2 minutes. Closing statements, 2 minutes. I ask a question, how long do you have?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, right, exactly. We have something called forum decorum. I actually never heard that phrase, but I like it, forum decorum. And basically, it's this is what I said, it's a forum, it's not a debate. No interaction or debate among candidates, but you can also say hello, wish everybody the best, right? And interaction by a candidate should be through me, but we'll try and keep it. The idea is to try and keep it friendly, try and keep it positive. And we had a couple of questions. People said, well, what if they're personal tax? There's not going to be any personal tax, right? No, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to talk about what we do well. We think we can do best for the city, and negativity never helps. So also audience, it's kind of tough, but I know we friends and family, we all have, gosh, what would I have known about my mom and my dad in the back row? I know that, to cheer on. So we're going to ask your indulgence in trying to keep applauses and stuff like that at a minimum, if not at all. So I will ask again, since we're not going to have interaction during the forum, to run for office is a lot. And we're very grateful to each and every one of you for saying yes, running for office. So now it's appropriate to have a big round of applause for all of us. So with that, we're going to go to Two introductions. And how long do we have for introductions? I wonder if Kevin remembers.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, see? So first we're going to do opening comments and introductions, and you're free to share a little vision, a little bit about yourself, and anything you'd like to do. So Kevin, if you start. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out and participating in this forum. It's very important. My name is Kevin Burns, and I want to be your next city councilman for District 1. I've lived in my house in Keystone for the last 35 years. I was your former mayor for 2 terms, and we got a lot of stuff done, and I was fortunate enough to have the support of Scott Galvin on the council so that we were able to build some new schools and make this city better. But those are things that have been done in the past. We have to worry about what's happening today, what's happening in the future. We have a lot of situations that we've got to deal with, and we'll probably touch on it tonight. The water plant, which is a very big issue. Infrastructure in our city, overdevelopment in certain neighborhoods is an issue that I hope we get to address. But many of you out here are friends of mine that I've known for decades, and I'm quite proud to be able to step up and try to fill the shoes of Scott, because he was always very attentive, always very responsive. And I plan on continuing that. I did it when I was mayor. I've done it as a community activist. People still come to my door at all hours asking me how to solve a particular issue. But I don't want to take up too much time. Just want to say thank you guys for coming out and being part of it. And on one of my flyers, I've actually put a notice about the election being May 5th, because so many people in North Miami residents do not know that they know the presidential election, but they did not know that North Miami's election has been moved to May. From May to November. So it's quite important that you get your friends and neighbors that live in North Miami, remind them to vote and to go down ballot. We're going to be at the very end of the ballot, and most of the time people are going to hit the president, a couple of senators, and then they don't vote any further. But we in city government mess up your life faster than anybody else. And we can make your life much better, or we can make it more difficult. And we want to make sure that we have the experience up there to move this city forward. That's enough for me right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mayor. I did forget something. So thankfully, Kevin, you didn't go past. So shame on me. But so you guys know when it's. I mean, how do you guys know it's 2 minutes, right? I mean, we think it's 2 minutes. You know, we really don't. So we have a little help.
10 seconds.
We have a 10-second. That's kind of quick. Okay.
10? Oh, do you want me to make it 15?
That's okay. 10 is
What do you
good. 10 is good. So
10
that means speed. You know, last sentence has to be speed. So we were going to do a little jingle, but I guess we have a jingle too.
What do you prefer?
We'll do 10 seconds. You guys okay with 10 seconds?
Sure.
At least, sure, 10 seconds. What can I say?
I'll go
30?
What do we want?
30's good.
30?
30's good.
Okay, so it says 10 and it's really 30, or I go and I rewrite it? I'll go rewrite it.
Or we can do this.
I'll go rewrite it.
30 seconds?
Okay.
What's your choice?
How's that? We'll do both. 30
30
and then
seconds?
10.
10 seconds left.
We make a team, folks.
30 and 10, okay.
All right. So the next candidate, and again we say thank you to all of you, is Vanessa Pierre. And Vanessa, you know the drill. You know how long.
2 minutes.
You got it.
2 minutos, like what they say at the Miami Heat games. When I graduated high school, right here in North Miami in 2007, it was always my intent to return back home when I went away to college to run for city council. My time in North Miami has been my entire life. I was birthed here. I live in the house that I was brought up in. During that time here in North Miami, I've seen the trajectory. I've seen the changes. On 131st in West Dixie, the old Carvel, that's now the Chef Creole. The Piccadilly that used to be on Biscayne. The Gardens now. Or who remembers 50 Cent Sundays at Gribble Pool right there, where the new North Miami Senior High is. During my time here in North Miami, I've noticed that there's a lack of strategic planning, a lack of visioning, and competent leadership. And for those reasons, and many more, are why I put my hat in the ring to say I'm gonna play a pivotal role in the development of North Miami. I'm invested in North Miami, born and raised in North Miami, went to all the schools here. And when I came back, I volunteered within the city of North Miami and will forever be part of North Miami and fighting for change in North Miami. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Evan Shields. I want to thank our neighborhood associations, our chambers of commerce, and our community orgs for planning such an important conversation about our city's future. Listen, I am a former public school teacher. I'm a small business owner in affordable housing, and service has always been in my life's blood. I'm running because we have to turn the page on the culture of chaos right now in City Hall. And we can write a new chapter together as a city where we prioritize and put our residents first, where we make sure we have smart economic growth, strong public safety, and honest to God leadership in a time when we need it the most. And I want to thank every single one of you all for coming into a packed room, and let's have a conversation about the future of our city. Thank you.
Good evening, North Miami. My name is Jessica Wolland, and I'm a proud, lifelong resident of North Miami. I was born and raised here. I have been a proud homeowner for 18 years. I also served you with the Parks and Recreation Department for 18 years with your ballet program, many of those years taught at our beautiful Tot Lot. It was an honor to serve you as your ballet teacher. It would be an honor to be your councilwoman. I also have a long history of community service. At the age of 11, I was the youngest ever member of the Youth Opportunity Board, and I served along Councilman Galvin before he was even a councilman. I have worked with the KPNA Kids Club. I'm a big fan of the KPNA. I've grown up going to camp at the Enchanted Forest Park. I've been a volunteer with the library, and I went to the Citizens Police Academy and completed the program. I love North Miami. It is home. When I look out, I see friends and neighbors, and it would be an honor to serve you as your next councilwoman.
Okay, thank you. Everybody did under 2 minutes. We really don't need, well, we have questions. I'm speaking too soon. Maybe we will need it. So we have, what the Homeowners Association has done is they've designed categories. And under those categories, there's questions. So the first category that we're going to go into is economy, development, and affordability. I'm going to read the first statement, which will be followed by a question, maybe two. And each of you will have 2 minutes. We'll start with you, Kevin. We'll go down, and each one will pick, the next person will start, next person will start, and the order of the opening statements will reverse it. So we want to try and do as fair as possible. So let's talk about economy, development, and affordability. The statement that your homeowners associations have put together is the following. North Miami is a desirable place to live, work, and own a business. We can feel the economy growing here. A short drive through District 1 reveals business openings, residential units being built, homes at all price points selling quickly, and families traveling to and from schools and parks in our areas. Many residents feel excited about the city's growth, but there are also concerns about increased insurance costs, post-Surfside recertification, process implication for condominiums, house affordability issues affecting North Miami residents, and the need to preserve the character of neighborhoods, especially single-family areas such as Keystone, which is becoming a walled-in high-rise, as many believe. So, with that as a background, the first question, which each one of you will have 2 minutes to answer, is the following. How do you plan to continue attracting responsible development while ensuring new development in District 1 doesn't lead to gentrification or displacement of its longtime residents? Kevin?
That question could take 2 hours to answer with all those categories. But it starts with the rules and regulations that we establish as a city council. It starts with what the residents want. Where do you want? We do have a comprehensive plan where we plan what should be built in certain areas of the city. When I became mayor, it had not been updated in 25 years, and I told the council, you're gonna have to update this plan every couple of years because things are gonna change. We're in the middle of changing that comp plan right now. We have made some mistakes in the past couple of years of putting a 5-6-story building right next to a single-family neighborhood without any distance. Nobody wants that. We're putting houses that are 45 feet tall next to houses that are single stories. And that's causing conflicts. What we have to do is make sure that we have the best management team that has the best planners that listen to the residents, and that we come up with a plan together about what is a traditional neighborhood, what is an area ripe for redevelopment, because we have some of those areas. And that we work with the developers to make sure whatever they're going to build does not adversely affect our residents. And so, people have been dropping the ball in the city administration over the last few years about things slipping through and getting built bigger than it was proposed. I want to make sure that we have oversight, not just once the plans are built, but while the buildings are under construction. We need new smart growth. We need that new tax base. But at the same time, we cannot run out and ruin the neighborhood businesses that have been here for years and paid their dues. There's a situation taking place right now where the old Congress bowling alley was, for those of you who've been around. It's a new 6-story building. They're literally killing the mom and pop restaurants where alphabetical and the Thai restaurant and the veterinarian offices, because of the lack of planning on the city's part to manage the construction and manage the influx of cars, the taking away of parking. Those little things matter, but it should not happen in the last at the last moment when residents or the business owners complain. We'll cover this more. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm told actually there are microphones, or a couple of them. Look and see if you have, want to check it, Vanessa, and see if it works? It does. You want to check it, Jessica, and see if it works?
Hello?
They might not all work at the same time.
Hello? Is this one working?
Oh, yours is on, so hers will not be on, probably, right?
Possibly.
Hello?
Yeah, that's what it works. So I'm going to repeat the question for each one of you. So you heard the statement, the background, and the question is again as follows. And again, you have 2 minutes. 2 minutos. How do you plan to continue attracting responsible development while ensuring new development in District 1 doesn't lead to gentrification or displacement of its longtime residents? And Vanessa, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think the word here is accountability. We have all these developments that are already coming up here, right? So let's think back to the LA Fitness development. Things were promised, but were they delivered? We need to hold people accountable for, if they say they're gonna build up to this amount of feet, they need to stick to that. A lot of the times, because no one is watching, because no one is holding anyone accountable, things may just slip through the cracks. We need people on our side who are going to have a checks and balance when these developers come. We have the gardens right here. We have a development coming right here behind TD Bank. We have the old White House Inn. It's been sold a couple of times. I believe now the Continuum Group owns it. We need to make sure that what we plan in the beginning is what is followed through. Now, in terms of gentrification, we always like to see our community grow, thrive without displacement, because that's what's really important. We don't want to displace the people that are already here. I have a neighbor, she lives right across the street from me. Her father actually built all the houses in my neighborhood. She owns the house free and clear, but she cannot afford the property tax or the homeowners insurance. So she's probably gonna sell in a couple of months, right? So this all has to do with the developments that are coming in, because all of that impacts our property value, what we're gonna pay. So I think that what we have to remember is accountability. If people are coming in to erect these new beautiful developments, we have to hold them accountable to what they said they were gonna do and not let them go over. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can click that off so we can use the other, thank you, the other microphone. So, Evan, I'll repeat it if you want. Why not, right?
If you don't mind.
Sure, of course. So you heard the 1 minute statement, and with that, how do you plan, Evan, to continue attracting responsible development while ensuring new development in District 1 doesn't lead to gentrification or displacement of its longtime residents?
That's such a great question. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, everyone has to be at the table. Our residents, our city, and our business community. And right now, our residents don't feel like they're at the table, and when you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that is the problem that we have to fight as a community. I agree with what's been said thus far. Accountability for projects to get approved in our city is incredibly important. We need to set a vision for what we want in District 1 and in our city. That means, listen, I think the obsession with condo developments and ultra-luxury multifamily, that's not gonna get us anywhere. We need to activate our downtown. We need to have affordable home ownership across our city. When I knock on doors, to the second part of your question, one of the biggest issues I hear is, how can I stay in my home? Whether you're on the east side of town or the west side of town. Insurance, the cost of keeping up your home. Those are issues that every single one of us cares about. And we have to be fighting for that as a council and as a community and putting that vision forward. And so with that said, when we're going to talk about smart growth, that means that we're not going to grow beyond our means. We are going to make sure that we have transitional growth and development where, to Kevin's point, you're not having 30-story buildings right next to a 2-story home. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. So I'll repeat the question again for Jessica. So, Jessica, how do you plan to continue attracting responsible development while ensuring new development in District 1 doesn't lead to gentrification or displacement of its longtime residents? 2 minutes.
We now have a Live Local Act. That ensures that if someone is using that loophole to get higher zoning, they must ensure that 40% of their building is affordable for 30 years. So that will help with gentrification. As far as the plan for the city goes, we have had a master plan for a very long time. We also have a planning department, we have a board of adjustment and an affordable housing advisory committee. I watch those meetings. Planning is not a short-term thing. We have been planning a long time. And we do have a lot of development coming. However, it must adhere to the code and what's in the zoning. We can't change gentrification. We do have a bigger pool of affordable housing coming our way, and it's important that the people building affordable options keep them affordable.
You hold on to that. Thank you. Just turn it off. You guys are going to share it. You guys will share yours. Okay. The next question, again, the overall theme here is economy, development, and affordability. So the next question will go to Vanessa first. Vanessa? With the original statement in mind, how do you intend to address affordable housing concerns and, excuse me, we said this before, but how do you intend to address affordable housing concerns and especially rising insurance costs in this area? 2 minutes.
How do I plan to
Address affordable housing concerns
okay.
and rising insurance costs.
All right, affordable housing, this is a hot ticket item. So for affordable housing, when these developments come, there needs to be a give back to the community. It's not, nothing is for free, but there needs to be a give back to the community to ensure that when they come and they build this 238-foot development, that the residents in the city can actually afford to move, or we're attracting people that can actually afford to move within our city. The Gardens recently had a lottery giveaway. They gave away, well, not giveaway, but for lower amounts than their usual rents, 38 lottery tickets to their rental properties. 38 really isn't enough for the crisis that we're facing here in Miami-Dade County. When we have these developers coming in, try to woo us to say, hey, we want to build in North Miami, there needs to be strict demands. This is how much we need to give back to the community to ensure that, yes, we understand that it's profit. We're not giving anything away, but that the residents that are here, that live in North Miami, that want to invest in North Miami, that want to move to North Miami, can actually afford to live in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Evan. You want me to read it for you, Evan, briefly?
If you don't mind.
Sure, of course. How do you intend to address affordable housing concerns and rising insurance costs in the area?
Listen, they go hand in hand. I forgot to mention in my opening statement, Councilman Galvin appointed me chair of our city's Affordable Housing Advisory Committee and as a member of our Zoning Board of Adjustment, where I've served for 5 years. And one of the most important things I realize in affordable housing is two things. One, we have to increase the number of actually affordable units in our city. And two, we need to keep our homeowners in their homes and expand affordable home ownership for every North Miami, and especially low and middle income North Miamians. And three, when it comes to insurance, there are so many solutions on the national and the state level that haven't been addressed. But on the city level, I think one of the things that we could be doing is helping decrease the amount of flood insurance premiums across our city. One of the things I want to do as our next city councilman is to make the right investments in flood mitigation across every part of District 1 in our city, because that not only helps all of our residents, but that also could potentially help lower our insurance premiums. And when we get to affordable housing, one of the most important things is we have to have a mixed amount of a diversity of options, of not just middle income housing, but affordable housing for low and middle income folks. What I mean by that is this: when you've got a development in our city and a developer comes and they say, hey, I want to build something, they often say, what's the minimum amount of affordable units I can have in this city in order to get this development done? We need to be saying, what's the maximum that you can have so that we can keep as many of our North Miamians here in our city? Thank you. I went a little bit over. Appreciate it.
You're good. You're good.
You guys, the ringing is 30 seconds.
This is
30
30 seconds.
30 seconds is that, and 10 seconds is a little.
Unless you want to
Yeah.
do it differently.
That'll work. No, that works. That works.
And then there's that.
So, I'll repeat the question, Jessica. So, how do you intend to address affordable housing concerns and also rising insurance costs in the city?
I'm going to start with the affordable housing situation. Is it only affordable, or is it also low income? Because when we think of affordability in this county, North Miami has a lower AMI, average median income, per family than Dade County. In North Miami, the average median income is under $50,000 as of 2022. And in Dade County, it's $64,000. So yes, we need affordable units, but most of our residents can't even afford the affordable units. They need low income because their average median income is still too low for an affordable unit. And as for insurance, that is more of a state issue because things get passed by the state on that level.
Thank you. You just turned it off. So, Kevin, you want me to repeat it for you?
Sure.
Why not? So, Kevin, how do you intend to address affordable housing concerns and also the rising insurance costs in North Miami?
Let's address the insurance first. We, as council people, are not going to change the cost of your homeowner's insurance. We do change the cost of your flood insurance. North Miami has one of the highest ratings for the biggest discount within all of South Florida that I helped initiate years ago. You go to do some renovation to your house, you're gonna have to meet some flood requirements. Meeting those requirements is a benefit to all of us because your flood insurance is cheaper than almost anybody else in Miami-Dade County. And it's because we have strict guidelines. And that is something that's under our control that we can do. But your windstorm and your property insurance, the dysfunctional people up in Tallahassee, you got to deal with them. We're going to advocate for it, but that's not on our plate. What is affordable housing? What is workforce housing? What is Section 8? All these people say, oh, affordable housing. Well, are we talking about rental units? Or are we talking home ownership? Affordable home ownership. We've got about 6,000 new residential units already approved in this city. 2,000 of those are mixed in there to be somewhat called set aside, affordable, depending on the income. I would like to push for home ownership, condo ownership, because those people will have a vested interest in North Miami. They can rent in an apartment building and be gone to Fort Lauderdale or Orlando tomorrow. But if you own your condo, you're going to take care of it. You're going to invest in it. You're going to have more pride in it. And so I'm going to push for more home ownership that is affordable. And my time's up, but thank you. We'll cover it later.
Thank you. Before we go on to the next, there are seats up here. If you guys want to, you don't need to stand. There are several seats up here in front. So those of you in the back, if you'd like to, if you want to stand, that's okay. But just giving you the opportunity to come up here. So, okay, we'll move to the next topic. And the next topic is under environment and infrastructure. And here's the statement on which the questions will be based. Flooding impacts many residents. It is essential that the city of North Miami take proactive steps to protect its people. Additionally, water pressure is low in many homes. Emergency water pipe repairs are occurring daily, and the city is in need of a new water plant. There are also serious concerns about the sustainability of our old infrastructure in order to meet new development projects. So with that statement in mind, we ask the following questions, and Evan, you'll go first this time. So the question is, first question, how do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding concerns in low-lying areas of the district? Please describe at least one new way you would work to protect North Miami from climate change and flooding.
That's a powerful question. And if you hear a 2-year-old in the back, that's my daughter. She's saying, Dad, Dad. Sorry about that. Listen, I think whether you are a homeowner or whether you are a renter, flooding affects all of us. Water pressure affects all of us. I can't tell you, 2 months ago I was taking a shower and the water turned off. How many of you, especially on the east side of town, have had that issue happen to you, right? Our pipes are over 80 years old, and we're not making the right investments in our infrastructure. When it comes to flood mitigation, I think to answer your question about what's one new idea, I think when I think about sustainability especially, we need to make the right investments in green infrastructure. What do I mean by that? Making sure we're investing in our parks, swales, chicanes, and other forms of green infrastructure in and around, especially the east side of town, that can help mitigate flooding across our city. And when it comes to our pipes, that's not an immediate issue that's going to be fixed in one budget overnight in 1 year. It's going to take investment over several years and making sure that we not only study the problem, but that we actually set aside the right monies for that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. So Jessica, I'll repeat the question for you. So with the statement in mind, how do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding concerns in low-lying areas of the district? Please describe at least one new way you would work to protect North Miami from climate change and from flooding.
We are in a flood zone. We have low-lying property. Our pipes are 80 years old, as many people have said. We do need a new water plant, and we need to prioritize it in our budget to not only get the grant to get the water plant, but we also need to do the pipes bit by bit. Swales, greenery, we need everything. Not as much of the fake grass. We need real grass that could absorb things as people are building houses and doing their landscaping. On top of that, when it comes to our budget, we need to cut the parties and cut the extras and make room for these infrastructure improvements. Because if we don't build our foundation and make our foundation better, we will all be in trouble. New construction, old construction, and regular houses. We're not in luck if we can't prioritize our flooding situation and our infrastructure.
So, Kevin, you want me to repeat the question? I will. How do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding concerns in low-lying areas of our district? Please describe at least one new way that you would work to protect North Miami from climate change and from flooding.
We've been addressing this issue prior to when I became mayor in 2005. We had a water plant, reverse osmosis water plant, fully paid for by the Obama administration for $38 million. The only thing we had to do was get the council to approve hiring the engineering firm. The city council did not do that. The federal government was giving us $38 million to replace this plant. They did not do it. The hardest thing I ever had to do was go back to the Secretary of Energy and say, I cannot take your $38 million to build a new water plant. And it was all internal politics. Today, we're talking about a new water plant. We just got a $220 million grant from the EPA that we may not make the deadline on in May because we fired the city manager who had that whole process under control. That got us the grant, and they fired her, and now it's in limbo. The cost is now exceeding $400 million. We cannot afford that. Not in the best of times or the worst of time. We as a city cannot afford that. We need to go back to the drawing board. Everybody knows our pipes are old. The county's got some money. Everybody's got some money here and there. We're hitting the developers to improve the pipes leading into their neighborhoods. But folks, these are problems that have been going on for years and years and years. You have to hold the people sitting up there accountable. I'm only going to be one vote. You need to get out and get involved with the rest of the community, the other neighborhoods when they need something. Those other council people who make up 3 votes have to know that you exist and you're concerned about the environment, the climate change, and our water plant. Because without 3 votes, nothing gets done, folks.
And I'm going to repeat the question for you, Vanessa. So with the statement that we read in mind, how do you plan to improve infrastructure and manage flooding concerns in low-lying areas of our district? And please describe at least one new way that you would work to protect North Miami from both climate change and from flooding.
So we need to, we know that we have a flood management plan, but we need to update it. The flooding that we're seeing here in North Miami is not what we've seen before. Right before we came here, it was raining for maybe 10, 15 minutes. The streets were already underwater. We need to update the flood management plan that we have that is ancient. And we need to work on being proactive instead of reactive. During that great flood in June, that great flash flood of 2024, cones were being put out 2, 3, 4 days after. My entire street was underwater. That has never happened before. Again, I'm a 35-year resident of North Miami living in that house. It has never been underwater before. We need to update our flood management plan, because yes, we may have one, but it's not addressing the flooding that we're seeing now. One way that we can preserve North Miami, or you said advance climate change, is protect what we have now. We have the preserve, Arch Creek Preserve, that is under fire. They are trying to open it up and take it away from us. We need to preserve what we have now by advocating against them opening it up and taking it away from the residents and build on what we have. When we have these new developments coming into North Miami, we need to demand, hey, you want to build this? We need new infrastructure. We need new pipes. We have cast iron piping. I had to redo my house, and when they opened up the bottom, it was dust. We cannot build 200, 300 feet up, welcoming more residents with the same sewer system, with the same pipes that were meant for single family homes. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our next question. Again, the same statement is applied, and this is actually kind of redundant. You all touched upon this question. So in this question, we'll begin with you, Jessica. The question is as follows. What would you do to ensure that the city's water plant is replaced in a timely manner?
This comes down to budget. We need to do whatever we can with our budget to be responsible with it. We have so many extras that we pay for. There was a year when we had staff go on a furlough, and the council gave themselves raises of 20%. If we are furloughing staff, as council, we need to set the example, and we need to take the furlough and the break ourselves with them at the very least. We need to work with our budget to take anything out that is not helpful. If it is an extra, we don't need it right now. We need to focus on infrastructure. And getting the water plant is an investment in our future, because without water, what do we have?
Thank you. So next, Kevin. So I'll repeat it again. What would you do, Kevin, to ensure that the city's water plant is replaced in a timely manner?
I'm glad I get to extend on what we were talking about. We were talking about that 20 years ago. It's the same water plant. The reason you have low pressure is because they cannot turn the pressure up high because it'll bust your pipes. We're getting about 40% of our water we're buying from Miami-Dade County because we cannot run our water plant at full capacity because it's so old. This isn't something new. I dealt with it way back then. We have to address it now. It's not going to happen overnight. The estimates that are coming in are foolish. I was talking to a mayor out in Nebraska a couple days ago. He said they were building a water plant twice the size of ours. It's going to cost them about $160 million. Yet our water plant, they're saying is going to exceed $400 to almost $500 million. That's ridiculous. Fire our consultants and let's start realistically. No cutting back on a party, no cutting back on furloughs, or no cutting back on or anything is going to help pay that bill. We needed to get the grants that we got from the EPA. We got to make sure we meet the deadlines and put the resources to qualify for that grant. We need to make sure we go after other ones. That's only through the EPA. We have other money that's out there. We need to spend money on staff that write and consultants that know how to get us the money. And again, our budget will never be able to afford that new water plant, but we have to have it because if you don't have the water, Miami-Dade County dictates what happens in your city. Thank you.
And next will be Vanessa, and I'll repeat it for you, Vanessa. Vanessa, what would you do to ensure that the city's water plant is replaced in a timely manner?
So we know we need that water plant. I started getting used to the low pressure. I kind of thought that's just the way it was around here. But we know that the funds are out there. The funds were acquired before, and I don't want that cost to come back to us. Because that's what's been done. Everything that happens at the city, the residents, it always falls back on us. And I do not want that to happen because things are tight for a lot of people right now. It's tight for everyone. So I don't want that to be a cost that we have to incur that's going to increase whatever other things that we have to pay for right now. The funds are available through federal funding, through the state, and we need to have those experts that are working, city staff that are working, that have done it before, to go after the funding that we need to update that water plant. It's simple. We need the funds. We don't want the residents to incur the funds, so we need to trust in city staff. We need to hire competent leadership to go after what we need so that we, the residents, do not incur the fees for this new updated water plant. Thank you.
Thank you. And Evan, what would you do to ensure that the city's water plant is replaced in a timely manner?
Listen, if this was a priority 20 years ago, it needs to be a priority now, period, point blank. I agree with everything that's been said by our other candidates here. The dollars are there on both the federal, the state, and the local level. We need to make sure that we're applying for those grants on time, that we are making sure that we have third-party oversight and at least 3 independent opinions on the cost, and that we are investing in our budget and in those state and federal dollars in that right now. Because if we don't fix this issue now, it is going to get worse every year until it is no longer sustainable for any of our homes. So we need to fix it now. The other thing that wasn't mentioned is if there ever was another solution like an infrastructure bond or anything like that, we need to make sure that we have third-party oversight over those funds and that they are spent appropriately on our infrastructure needs, period, point blank. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to the next statement here, and it's again the last statement under environment and infrastructure, is the topic. And the statement is as follows. Arch Creek East Preserve is a city of North Miami park located at the end of 135th Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard. It is designated as a nature preserve in perpetuity by the city. Florida International University has been trying for at least 12 years to turn ACE into a new main entrance for the university, taking it away from North Miami. This would bring approximately 500,000 or more cars per day through the area, making it kind of dangerous for the residents due to excessive traffic, not to mention pollution. This would affect the quality of life and property values for more than 1,000 residents and destroy the habitat restoration elements that will help protect this portion of North Miami from future storm surges. That's the statement that the questions will be based on. The question is as follows. If elected, will you support the ongoing habitat restoration and green infrastructure projects of ACE Preserve to protect city residents and infrastructure? Will you commit tonight to directing the city of North Miami to do everything in its power to stop FIU's future attempts in creating an entrance through this area? And Kevin, we'll begin with you.
For those of you who don't know, I was one of the founders of Arch Creek Preserve. Scott wanted to make it a park, and I said, no, let's go further. Let's make it a preserve, because we knew that FIU wanted to come through there. We put a new footbridge back there. If I had my way, we would have torn up the road completely and had more of a tidal wave going in and out, but I didn't have my way, and no road would ever get reopened. One of the other things we did to protect the preserve and to protect 135th Street was we got Miami-Dade County to give us back that road. If we did not have ownership of that road, there would have been an exit there many, many years ago. But because we planned ahead, we got control of the road, we made a preserve, I think we need to build a small community building nature center on that property, because I always thought if FIU wanted to try to open that road, that they have to justify going through a preserve, taking away a natural habitat. The groups that are out, the group that Sam runs out there, that's investing hours and times and material out there to enhance the mangroves, we should be doubling up on that. And it is very, very important, because the reason 135th Street is so wide, because at one time, there was going to be a bridge at the end of that road going over to Holland. That's in 1960s. But we have to make sure they never do it, because it will destroy 135th Street's quality of life. And I have been fighting for the last 20 years to make sure that that never happens. And I can guarantee you, I've been doing it for 20 years to protect our street, and I'm going to continue to do it whether I'm the councilman or not. Thank you.
And it's a rather lengthy question, so I'll read it for you again, Vanessa. If elected, Vanessa, will you support the ongoing habitat restoration and green infrastructure projects of Ace Preserve to protect city residents and infrastructure? Will you commit tonight directing the city of North Miami to do everything in its power to stop FIU's future attempts to create an entrance through the area?
So the proof is in the pudding. Yes, 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 and yes. In 2018, a lot of you all, a lot of people that are in ACE, a lot of people that are in District 1, we rallied in the preserve. I believe it's NBC 6 or Local 10 was there. The news was there. Miami Herald was there. They reported on our rallying against the opening of Arch Creek Preserve. Now, the previous question, we mentioned saving the environment, green sustainability. Now, if we build on preserve, that kind of negates us wanting to stop climate change, right? So we don't want to build, we don't want more concrete. We do not want that. I have been an advocate opposing the opening of Arch Creek Preserve. I will continue to be an advocate to oppose the opening of Arch Creek Preserve. Like I said, the proof is in the pudding. I've been there. I will continue to advocate against the opening. And anytime, so right now, it's been kind of calm. But we know that in the future, they will come back when they think that we're distracted and we don't care to try to ramp up those efforts. So because I've done it before, I'm standing firm in my decision. I do not want the preserve to be destroyed, to be built upon. No, 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 no. So yes, I will continue my advocacy as I've done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. So Evan, I'll repeat the rather lengthy question here. If elected, will you support the ongoing habitat restoration and green infrastructure projects of Ace Preserve to protect city residents and infrastructure? And will you commit tonight to directing the city of North Miami to do everything in its power to stop FIU's future attempts to create an entrance through the area?
Listen, bottom line up front, I will do everything in my power to fight FIU, our state legislature, or anybody who would ever want to turn 135th Street into a highway, to get rid of our Ace Preserve, or anything that would destroy that in any way, shape, or form. No, 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 no. I'm the only person on this stage who actually lives on 135th Street. My wife and I are homeowners there. We've got a beautiful 2-year-old daughter that every Friday we walk through the preserve, and I'm so glad that it's there. It's an amazing part of our city. And it would devastate me, especially as a parent, if the preserve not only was not there, but like I said, our street was turned into a highway and a byway for FIU students. That's not only an issue against our green infrastructure in our city, that's a safety issue too. And I will do everything I can to fight against anybody who would want to get rid of Ace Preserve or open up our street to FIU, period.
Thank you. And Jessica, I'll repeat the question for you. If elected, will you support the ongoing habitat restoration and green infrastructure projects of the Ace Preserve to protect city residents and the infrastructure? Will you commit tonight to direct the City of North Miami to do everything in its power to stop FIU's future attempts to create an entrance to the area?
Yes, I would proudly support that we continue our environmental efforts to preserve our preserve. It is important that we keep it beautiful, because in the words of Joni Mitchell, please don't pave paradise to put up a parking lot, because you don't know what you have till it's gone. It's important. I would stand and tell the City Council that we should not let FIU build and drive through our preserve. It's hard to get more green spaces. They take a long time to grow. Arch Creek East is a beautiful neighborhood, and that would destroy its character.
Thank you, Jessica. So I think we heard from that question, ladies and gentlemen, we heard a firm no. That street is not going to be opened if any of these four people have their way. And we thank them for that. The next topic is under communication. And under communication, we have the following statement. A high standard has already been established for 3 decades of community engagement, immediate response to District 1 residents' issues and citywide issues and concerns, and disseminations of citywide information by Councilman Scott Galvin. Residents will expect you to do the same. With that in mind, the following question. Please outline the specific measures you will utilize to continue this tradition. How will you ensure transparency and effective communication between the city, City Council, and the District 1 residents? And we'll begin with you, Vanessa. 2 minutes.
Thank you. That's actually something I'm doing now. I am personally canvassing my entire district, and I'm so happy to see a lot of the faces that I personally invited actually came out here. Many times when I'm knocking on the door, a lot of residents don't know what's going on in the city. They don't know where the resources are. Who's my representative? Are you this? Are you that? They just don't know. There's a disconnect. I think meeting the neighbors where they are is what we need to do. Everyone can't be on the mailing list. Everyone doesn't have access to email. Some people just don't know how to check their email, right? They may be bad at it. So I think that as representatives, we need to meet the residents where they are. Email is great. Having city council meetings is great. But I love what I have done and what I see a lot of other people do. They have these quarterly or monthly, bi-quarterly town hall meetings where we can come and debrief with the residents. What's going on? What needs to be fixed? What's great? Because it's not always about what's wrong, but what is also great. And I would definitely build upon that by meeting the neighbors where they are, going to the neighbor's house, just as I'm doing right now. Me personally meeting many of you, 2, 3, 4 times at your house and saying, Vanessa, we get it. We know we're voting for you. We've seen your mailers. We've seen you come by here. So we need to, as representatives, meet our residents where you are. Thank you.
Thank you. So Evan, again, the basic of the topic is talking about Scott Galvin's 3 decades of service, and the question that is posed by your homeowners association is please outline specific measures you will utilize to continue this tradition, and how will you ensure transparent and effective communications between the city council, and our District 1 residents.
I think that Scott has left all of us very big shoes to fill. And I want to honor his tradition of being an amazing steward and being transparent to all of our residents. And listen, I think everything that was just said, we 100% need to do it. Quarterly town halls. I want to make sure that we have an email list, that we're reaching folks. But as I've learned as an educator, you got to meet people where they're at. And that means if we need to canvass to get out the word about an idea or a meeting or a town hall, we'll do that. I also commit to opening an office in this building, in the beautiful Scott Galvin Community Center, in our district, having open office hours after work so that everybody, especially working folks, can meet with me at any time and talk about any issue that's important to them. I know that I would have done an amazing job as a council person if I had darn good, I was almost going to say something else, but I know we got my 2-year-old in the room. Darn good constituent services. That when you reach out to me, I will reach back to you immediately. And we will solve the issue, or if it's not an immediate solution, we'll find the best pathway forward so that it gets resolved. And I'll make sure that everybody has my number so that you can call me. I'll give it to you now, 305-771-0454. I want to be honest, transparent, and open with all of our residents, because I think that that's what an excellent council person should do.
Thank you. And I'll repeat a little bit here for you, Jessica. Jessica, please outline specific measures you will utilize to continue Scott's tradition. How will you ensure transparent and effective communication between the city council, and our District 1 residents?
Currently, I go to almost all of the KPNA meetings, and as your councilwoman, I will be going to many meetings, as many as I can, for all of the neighborhood associations in the district. I will have email, I will have office hours, and I will also be available by appointment. You can also call and leave a message, and I will get back to you. On top of that, as someone who is running for office, I have a website and I return email to votejessicawolland.com. I have all of my information from my campaign as far as transparency goes, all of my campaign reports, everything that has been donated and everything that has been spent listed on the city clerk's website, along with my phone number and my address. So you can reach me. But as a councilwoman, I am also a fan of the quarterly town halls, and we have a YouTube channel, and you can always reach out and I will reach back.
Thank you. And Kevin, so please outline specific measures that you will utilize to continue Scott's tradition for 3 decades. How will you ensure transparent and effective communications between the city, the council, and our residents?
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're going to take what Scott has done and been very successful with and incorporate it into my office. I've always been transparent with everybody. I think everybody that has interacted with me has my cell phone numbers. Scott and I were in office at a time when we didn't have newsletters. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the communication that we have now. Thankfully, in the city, we have moved forward, and we do have funds set aside for the quarterly magazines as an update. But it's also, you have to share the information with me. As a council person, I get to share it with the senior city staff, and they will disseminate it among the responsible parties, then report back to me, and then I can report back to the residents. That's where the accountability of city staff comes into, and to make sure that we make sure that they respond in a timely manner to the residents. Sometimes there's an issue that comes up where there's 50 people screaming for the exact same thing. Other times there are things that need to be done right away. Other times there are things that can wait. But please give any of these candidates, anybody, a transition time, because Scott's been at it for a long time. And from day one, it's not going to be smooth, but we're going to do the best I can. But also it takes your part. Start attending your homeowner meeting and city council meetings. Because if they don't see you in the audience, I'm talking about other city council members, don't see you sitting in the audience, they may not believe you exist. Come to your homeowner meeting. Instead of having 20 people a month, you should have 50, 60, 100 people. You have a great membership. And that's one of the problems these homeowners have, because some people on city staff and certain council people don't believe that the homeowners matter. But they do, and you need to make yourself seen and heard. And that's the way we'll keep open lines of communications and respond to you just as fast as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So we'll make the offer again before we go to the next topic. We have chairs here in the front. If you people in the back would like to sit down, there are chairs, or you're welcome to stay in the back, but we offer these chairs for you. Okay, we'll move on. So we move on to a new topic here. It's called, we've touched on it a little bit, a little dicey here, city management. So I'm going to give the topic statement, and then we'll follow up with the question. As everybody knows in this room, residents came out in great numbers to show support for our previous city manager. They expressed tremendous appreciation and respect for the work she was doing as manager, and never received a clear understanding of why she was fired. From the residents' point of view, it appeared that maybe because of $100,000 was not in the budget, but was requested to fund a party. With that statement in mind, here's the question. What are your thoughts on the firing of our previous city manager? What are your thoughts on the city spending money on items such as parties, especially when they are not part of the approved budget? And Evan, we'll begin with you.
As I said in my opening statement, the entire reason I'm running is because we've got to turn the page on the culture of chaos that is in our city right now. The fact that we've gone through, don't quote me on the number, but I'm pretty sure it's right, 5 city managers in 7 years is a travesty. The fact that we have 300 plus events a year and folks in our district don't feel like they're invited. That even after our city manager was fired, we still don't have a true, honest response of what happened, or even a plan for what comes next. Not to mention a cyber attack that unfortunately has hobbled many of our services right afterwards. At the end of the day, we have to have honest and transparent leadership in our city. We have to put our residents first in everything we do, especially the management of our city. And when it comes to our city manager, one of the first things that I will do is make sure that we have an excellent candidate that's brought forward to make sure that we have an efficient city, a balanced budget, and making sure that our residents are put forward in everything that we do as a city. Thank you.
Thank you. So Jessica, I'll repeat the question for you here. Jessica, what are your thoughts on the firing of our previous city manager? What are your thoughts on the city spending money on items such as parties, especially when they're not part of the approved budget? 2 minutes.
As someone that has grown up around City Hall since I was maybe 8 years old, I have seen us go through countless city managers. Tremendously talented city managers, and Rasha Camus was one of those. I've seen her work in multiple departments of the city and do a great job, which is why she knew it so well. I am against the firing of her as the city manager. And as we hire a new city manager, we need to really do our best with what we pay them to honor what they study and what they recommend for us. I'm against the parties because we are a city that needs a social services department, a city that needs and currently has a food pantry. If people have a need for that much help and help with water bills and waste, then we really need to cut down on the extras. And if we are going to have parties, we need to use performers from our schools. We need families to come out and to use local resources instead of paying big ticket performers such as CeeLo Green.
So, Kevin, I'd like to know your thoughts on the firing of our previous city manager and spending money on parties when they're not part of the approved budget.
The firing of Rasha has got to be one of the most asinine things that a city council had done in many, many years. the most competent, and I'm not just saying it, her peers have said it, one of the most competent city managers in all of South Florida. We had her cleaning up our mess that our council members had created. She was turning this city around. We went from a $14 million deficit. She was telling the council members, no, you cannot spend this money. No, you cannot do that. No, you're not going here. She made them accountable and made it transparent. And it pissed off a couple of them. Because she told them no. If the city council, like they just did, just passed the budget the other night, they listed all the things that they're going to spend money on. $1.3 million for special events, for the turkey drives and the 4th of July and all these events. But that was a public meeting. It was all there in black and white, and if you wanted to say something about it, you could have been at that meeting. What Rasha told them, you cannot come to me and ask for $100,000 to be a co-sponsor for an event down in the city of Miami that has absolutely nothing to do with the city of North Miami. And when you tell your bosses no, they get their egos bent. There was no sound way. You're not going to get a justification why she was fired. It's not going to happen. Don't wait for it. Our city management at this time is overwhelmed. They do not have the tools or the professional tools right now to do it. We have not even started a city manager search. That is unbelievable for a city that claims to be we're on the move.
And finally, Vanessa, what are your thoughts on the firing of our previous city manager? And also your thoughts on the city spending money on items such as parties when they're not part of the approved budget?
So the city has been spending money irresponsibly for a long time. But I think this $100,000 is what opened our eyes, coupled with the firing of Rasha Kamo. When I knock on a lot of you all's door, one of the things that is instantly brought up, what do you think about what happened to the city manager, right? It was wrong and it should have never happened. What needs to happen now, we need to be on the search for professionals. What does not need to happen, as elected officials, we don't need to encroach upon those people that we elected. We don't have to encroach on the job that they were here to do and dictate how they're spending the money. Because we were on a positive trajectory. And because of one party being denied, everything went up. We need to trust in the leadership that we hired and let them do the job. Just because we want to fund another party that's not budgeted. But moving forward, we need to look for the next city manager that has those qualities that Rasha Kamo had, that can build upon that vision that we have for North Miami. We know what we had, we know what we want, and we need to hire someone with those capabilities.
So I guess we got a shot at that, right? Pretty unanimous, I think. It's getting a theme here. I hear unanimity. That's not a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a bad thing. So we're going to do 1 minute questions. We have some additional questions that we're going to do in 1 minute. So maybe 15 seconds. We'll do the little shaker thing there, or it'll tell you guys to wrap it up. So 1 minute questions here posed by your homeowner associations. First one is, what policies would you support to ensure that our public safety is enhanced and crime reduction rates continue to decline? Evan, we'll begin with you.
Strong public safety is one of my top priorities. I mean, listen, crime rates are down. We have one of the finest North Miami police departments in all of the county. I think that's fantastic. We have to give them applause. And at the same time, we need to make sure that we take our safety into our own hands as well. What I mean by that is this. I, as your councilman, want to make sure I invest in neighborhood watch programs, empowering all of our neighborhood associations. If you see something, you say something. And ensuring that we have, when we talk about green infrastructure, that we have infrastructure in and around our neighborhoods to curb speeding and to also curb, oh, does that mean?
15 seconds.
15 seconds, okay, good, thank you. And also to, okay, sorry, I almost lost my train of thought with the thing there, sorry about that. Not only neighborhood watch programs and making the right investments in our law enforcement, but also ensuring that we respond to issues as soon as possible when they are heard, and that's what we're going to do in our next council. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a little different, guys, so we're used to, that'll be in 15 seconds. We're doing this on the fly, right? So we're going to give, Jessica will repeat the question for you again. What policies would you support, Jessica, to ensure that public safety is enhanced and crime reduction rates continue to decline?
As someone who was lucky enough to attend the Citizens Police Academy when Chief Jariga reopened it, I know well enough that we do not have enough police to support the current population that we have. And with new development in Solomia and everyone being with the new with the new development that is growing and being built, we don't have enough police for that either. So I need to support that we make room in that budget to hire more police. And even more so, I'd like to thank my father for starting the Citizens Police Academy many years ago, and Kenneth Beach for being part of that.
Thank you, Jessica. And Kevin, we'll ask you the same question. What policies would you support to ensure that public safety is enhanced and our crime reduction rates continue to decline?
First of all, I would let the chief of police govern the police department. I'm not the chief of police. I'm not going to be the chief of police. She's there for a reason, because she knows what to do and her command staff knows what to do. I expect them to come to me and say, this is what we need to be an efficient police department, and I will do whatever I have to do to help to convince my other council members to give them the funding and the resources that they need so that they can promote the programs that they want. One of the things I'm very proud of is the mounted patrol. There's some people who might want to get rid of it because they don't think we can afford it. I think it's very important that the police department continues to do outreach, but I'm going to let the police chief govern the police department, not have political interference, but I'm just going to make sure I get her the money and the resources that they need to be efficient.
Kevin? And Vanessa, what policies would you support to ensure that public safety is enhanced and our crime reduction rates continue to decline?
Thank you. I think we need to invest in police recruitment, invest in the technologies that they need to help them better do their jobs to protect us. And I also think that between the police and communities, we need to continue, because North Miami Police Department does an excellent job with forging excellent relationships with the communities that they serve. Build upon those youth and mental health programs for all of us within the city, because all of these aspects help in our safety. We need to invest in police recruitment, invest in the technology to help the police officers do their job, and we also need to invest in the community building between police and the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, pretty much unanimity. We're proud of our police department in North Miami. More than proud, right? So the next 1 minute, and again, we have the little jingle here, which means 15 seconds. The next, we can shake. There we go. So the next question is kind of general, so you can do with it kind of as you please. What are your plans for improving public services at the local level? And we'll begin with you, Jessica.
The public services that I would like to see brought back the most are our parks and recreation programming for children, families, and adults, because they are not at the level that they were before the pandemic. We used to have at least 5 or 6 camps that were affordable in the summer. There are only 2 now. We need to bring back what we can with our parks with public service. We need to make sure that constituents know that they can reach out to their council people and tell them what they need with input so we can make better choices in our budget to improve our public services with neighborhood input.
Thank you. So, Kevin, the same question. What are your plans for improving public services at the local level?
I am in and out of City Hall, but not City Hall, but the Building and Zoning Department 2-3 times a week. Because I help people who run into problems with the city bureaucracy break that log jam to get their house renovated or get their project approved or get the fence permit or whatever the nightmare that you might be trying to get through if you've ever dealt with the building department. I want us to focus on customer service. We need to treat our residents like the people they are. They pay the city salary. You're going to pay me this very expensive salary that I'm going to get. You pay the employees very expensive salaries for the directors that we have. You can literally expect to have good customer service where the staff responds to what you're asking for. We have plenty of programs going on, but we're not efficient at any of them. We need to get back to the basics of taking care of what we have already before we start expanding. But they must treat you like you're the paying customer that you are.
Thank you, Kevin. So, Vanessa will ask you the same question. What are your plans for improving public services at the local level?
My plans for improving public services. We need to streamline the permitting process first. We need to have synergy between departments so that when you go to this department, they don't tell you to run across the street to go to the next department, only for you to have to turn around and go back to that next department, right? I think I'm not the only one that has suffered. I'm not only a victim, right? So we need to invest in senior programs. We need to invest in youth programs. We need to invest in those rehabilitation programs, right? So that the city of North Miami can be a place that we, all homeowners, are proud to say that they live in. All right, so that all of our houses look good. A lot of the times when I'm canvassing, I'm seeing roofs, right? Roofs with tarps on them for we don't know how long, right? So if we expand and we invest in the social programs, services that we have now, there's nothing that North Miami cannot achieve. Thank you. Sincerely.
You got it. And now, Evan, the same question for you. What are your plans for improving public services at our local level?
I think 3 of the programs that I'd love to improve are, 1, a lot of folks don't know about the CRA's program to help improve homes for low and middle income folks in our city. I think that that's something that I'd love to expand, especially in District 1. I think 2, I've served on our Board of Adjustment for 5 years. I can't tell you the number of folks who just want one small, tiny thing done at their house, and it takes over a year to get it done, to cut through the red tape. I would love to make that process so much more efficient. And then last, as I mentioned, I have a 2-year-old, and I'm so excited to be bringing her to our public library once she gets up and starting to read, and I would love to expand our youth programs at our library. Thank you.
Thank you. So now another 1-minute question in our lightning round. Lightning round, what is this, a game show? Hardly. This is serious stuff. So the next question is, Kevin, we'll begin with you, asking you, do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes? And if you do, why?
Can you expand on that?
I could, but I'm going to read it again exactly the way your homeowners associations wrote it. So do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes? Meaning, I guess, our millage rate. If so, why?
Well, the millage rate was actually dropped a little bit, but the value of your house went up. So even though the city didn't raise the millage rate, your taxes are going up because your house is more valuable. The taxes, which North Miami gets a very small percentage of, and the county and state and other people property taxes, is what it's gonna cost you for city services. When you go to pull the permit to put up a new fence, go to pull the permit to paint your house, go to pull the permit to replace the impact windows or whatever. They're about to initiate a drastic impact fee and a fee increase very quickly now that the budget has been approved. The budget was approved, I wasn't sitting up there, but we must keep in mind the impact that it has on the residents when they're trying to make an investment in their home. Some of them just can't afford it because of the cost of the permitting and the delay that it takes.
Thank you, Kevin. And Vanessa will repeat the question again. Do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes? If so, why?
I think it's best if we explore different millage rate scenarios. What may be good for us today may not be good for us in 5 years. What we have right now in the city is real inconsistency, right? So if we look into the budget well before, if we plan well before budget time comes, we can definitely explore those scenarios where that millage rate, where the millage rate can be explored. But this has to be done well in advance. It can't be right when the budget town halls are coming up, and then we're talking about what's going to happen in 10 weeks, in 10 days. This has to be something that is researched beforehand so that residents have ample time to make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. So Evan, do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes? And if so, why?
Listen, our existing taxes, whether you knew it or not, are some of the highest in the county at 7.4. I am committed to keeping our taxes low. Bottom line up front. I would not want to expand our taxes, and further, I want to see, okay, are there ways strategically over time to lower our millage rate and also make sure that our budget is balanced and we're making the right investments in our infrastructure, our community, and our public safety. Thank you.
And Jessica, I'll repeat the question for you again. Do you plan to promote any changes to existing taxes? And if so, why?
At this point, I would not change our existing taxes, although they are high, because it's not our taxes, it's how we spend the money brought in from our taxes with our budget. And although we are not the best at managing our budget, we need to work harder to manage that money that our taxes brings in better, so that it will be more efficient, and over time, we can bring down the millage rate.
Thank you. So we have one more 1-minute question, and kind of an interesting one. There's a move to rezone Emerald Lake. Some say they want to fill it in, develop it, put buildings on it, and take away the actual lake and the waterfront feature and turn it into concrete. So we'll begin with you, Vanessa, on this one. What would be your position on this?
We don't want more concrete. We don't. This is something that all the residents have vocalized, whether it be changes that may be happening at Majorca, right? Where it went before the Board of Adjustments, and some people said, yes, we're gonna build up. We don't want more concrete. What we want to do is collaborate with residents to see what would be best at Emerald. It's not one person's decision. It has to be collaborative with the community, because this is an impact that we all are going to feel. So I know for sure none of us wants more concrete, that for sure. But we have to come to the table with a solution that is inclusive with all of us, to make sure that it reflects the community that we're living in and that we're gonna grow into. Thank you.
Thank you. And Evan, we'll ask you the same question. You know the background, the move to potentially rezone Emerald Lake and put buildings on it. What's your position?
You know, as I said at the beginning, Our community has to be at the decision table, and if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And with that said, what our community wants for that lake is what we should stand for. My opinion is I'd love to keep it as is. It's an amazing feature. We've got amazing lakes, parks, green infrastructure around our city. Let's keep it. But I want to make sure that whatever we do is what the residents want.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Let's keep
please. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll move on to Jessica. And Jessica, you know the background. There's a move to rezone Emerald Lakes and change its characteristics. What is your position on it?
Emerald Lake has houses, but it also has a body of water, and a body of water typically has water rights. So you have to be protective of those. Now, if they rezone it, that's something else. But at this point, it's good to hear what the community hears. Property zoning at this point does not have you filling in the lake. And it's important we consider that it is a body of water with water rights.
Okay, and Kevin, you know the background. There's a move to rezone Emerald Lake, so fill it with buildings. What's your position on this?
As a kid, I learned how to swing from a rope into that lake. This is the most asinine thing I've ever heard going on. Emerald Lake is a lake. It's a natural spring. Yes, it was dug out back in the 50s, but it's part of a underwater river that flowed there since the early 1900s. I'm not going to say there's a movement to fill in the lake. It's one person, former Mayor Joe Celestine, represents a client that owns the lake that wants to fill it in. That is the worst thing we can do. You know, we only have one lake in the city of North Miami, and that's Emerald Lake. So, we should not rezone it. It will take them years and years to go through the process to get it done, but I assure you, I will never be on board to allow that to happen.
Thank you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the conclusion of our forum, and conclusion always end with closing comments, right? So, I wonder how long we have, Kevin, please.
I think 2 minutes.
I think you're right. So we're going to go the exact opposite way that we began with opening comments. We'll go the reverse order. And so we'll begin with Jessica. Jessica, 2 minutes for closing comments. Thank you.
North Miami in District 1 has over 8,000 voters. Thank you to everyone that came out tonight and showed interest. It's very special. If you are looking for someone who is a lifelong resident to represent you, who grew up in District 1 and understands the beauty and has worked in District 1, please vote for me. If you're looking for someone who wants a better North Miami for the next generation and a more efficient government, please vote for me. If you're looking for someone who loves this city and is here for you, please vote for me. My name is Jessica Wolland, and it would be an honor to represent you as your next councilwoman for District 1.
Thank you, Jessica. And Evan, 2 minutes is your closing comments.
Again, I want to thank our neighborhood associations, our chamber, and especially you for coming and engaging in this conversation today. Listen, as I said at the beginning, I'm running because we've got to turn the page on what is perceived as a culture of chaos at City Hall and to write a new narrative together of a better, brighter future for our city. As I'm deeply invested in our community as a homeowner, as a husband to an OBGYN who's serving women's needs in our community, and as a parent to a 2-year-old daughter. And I want to make sure that we have a beautiful, bright city for my daughter and all of our families. And we need to make the right investments and priorities in smart growth, strong public safety, and honest leadership in a time when we need it the most. This election is pivotal on November 5th. Every single person in this room, not only you need to vote, you need to get 2, 3, 4, 5 family, friends in our community to get out and vote. And I would be absolutely honored to have your support on November 5th for North Miami City Council District 1. I look forward to us continuing to run a grassroots campaign, having open and honest, transparent finances, because as how we run our campaigns is how we're going to be as city council folks. And you have to hold us accountable now, and to whoever here gets elected, hold us accountable as we're our next District 1 council person. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity to speak, and I truly appreciate everybody giving me a shot to run for District 1, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Vanessa, your closing comments, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you again, everyone. Thank you for opening your doors when I knock and I'm sweaty, and you're like, who is this person? Thank you for inviting me in and giving me a cup of water, 3, 4, 5 bottles of water. Thank you so very much for entrusting in my leadership, in my investment in this city, for wanting to see me represent you all. I'm gonna say it again, the proof is in the pudding. The work has been done, it's being done, and it's going to continue to be done. We have to look at track records. We have to look at track records. There are some people who are registered lobbyists who vote against things right now, against the residents, who represent the people who want to encroach on our properties. The proof is in the pudding. We have to remember, Board of Adjustment, March 20th, Majorca said yes to 238 feet. Yesterday was Majorca. Tomorrow it's going to be Keystone. Tomorrow it's going to be 16th Avenue. We already have the gardens in a single family residential neighborhood. Remember, everyone, the proof is in the pudding. Thank you so very much for the questions, for opening your doors, for asking me and engaging in me when I come to ask you for your support and challenging me. I really appreciate it. November 5th, Vanessa Pierre, a 35+ year resident of North Miami. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Vanessa. And Kevin, you have 2 minutes for your closing comments.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out. I want to be your next city councilman because I know I can make a difference up there from day one. I don't need on-the-job training. I can start voting on the most important issues that faces this city at the first council meeting. As a lifelong resident of North Miami, I have proven myself as a responsible individual looking out for the best interests of our city. As your mayor, I was able to get 5 new schools built in a matter of 3 years. Never been done before. I left Cagney Park fully funded, ready to go. It's still vacant. 3 fake groundbreakings. Why hasn't it been done? I left all the parks fully renovated, pristine condition. Look at them now. Folks, I know what to do. I know how to do it. These individuals are very fine, very nice. But our city is in a situation right now that you cannot be nice. We have got to be aggressive for District 1. But don't forget, we are part of the whole city. We're one city. And what happens on one side of the city affects us. We want a new park somewhere, a new downtown, a $200 million city hall, and all kinds of fancy stuff downtown. That's ridiculous. I'm a voice of reason. I will always be here for you. Also, at the end of this meeting, you were not allowed to ask any questions of us. I'm going to be here. If you want to ask me a question one-on-one, I'm proud to point out my daughter Autumn. Many of you could not believe how much she has grown up in this city because you knew her sitting in the council chamber as a child. And again, an invested individual in this city. Thank you. My touch number is 160. Appreciate you all coming out. Mr. Mayor, thank you for what you all did, your organizations for everything you all did. We need to continue this type of engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So, indulge me 1 second before we conclude and we turn it over to Karen. We need 2 rounds of applause before we get to you guys, and we'll talk a little bit about you guys in a second. We have in the back of the room someone who represented this district for a long, long time and represented the city of North Miami going back into the 80s. And his name is Scott Galvin. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Scott Galvin. Thank you. And our last round of applause before Karen, we give it back to you. I have to say, I've done a bunch of these, and you guys are going to win. You guys were all great. Honestly, you were spectacular. Each and every one of you. So I feel confident that Keystone and the District 1, the greater area, will be represented, 135th Street, and the whole area is going to be represented well. So thank you all. It was exceptional. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause.
Right, 2 more, not even 2 minutes. We can time me. So on behalf of Urban Paradise Guild, our 8 homeowner associations, our chambers, thank you. Thank you, seriously. Okay, so 2 other forums, District 4 on the 26th over at Celestine Center, and the mayor on the 9th at Griffin. We all vote for the mayor, so I do hope you'll come to that. I did notice, sorry, bear with me. I did notice I got 2 messages from the city recently that I wanted to share with everybody. Candidates, I do hope that you make communication with your residents a priority, because I don't know about you guys, I never know what's going on with the city until the last minute. So there seems to be here on October 15th, a flood outreach meeting from 6 to 7. That's all I know. A flood outreach meeting, 6 to 7. I hope you'll join us. And then there seems to be a water service line inventory survey, public information meeting on September 25th at 6 p.m. at City Hall. Don't know what that is either, but we all know that water is an issue. So, what did I ask? 5 fingers, 5 neighbors. Go talk to your neighbors. We'll have the information on KeystonePoint.net website. Sorry, I lost my voice. We've recorded this. We will have a link to wherever that recording is going to be. Children off at college, remind them to vote, and go forth. Bye. Thank you.